feel a product manager's core job is to identify the right problems to solve.
Okay.
Their primary responsibility is how to grow the product.
Okay.
Which is, let's say, if they are joining at a 1x scale,
Okay.
they might be told that 1x से 10x grow करना है. Core responsibility is not delivery of projects. Their core responsibility is moving the metric. Like ChatGPT has been like my go-to thing after Google search in this year. A great product manager is only that one person who is able to do that at scale.
This episode we explore product management function, and we are joined by someone who has worked previously as a group product manager at Emeritus, a $3 billion edtech unicorn, where he led a team of product managers and designers to create a world-class online learning platform for a global learner base. He has been a founder, and also has been part of multiple 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 journeys where he got a chance to create a sizable impact for organizations. Join me in welcoming Sumedh Saraf.
Welcome, Sumedh. Sumedh, before we dive in, what's the last product or service that you have used and that has truly amazed you?
Sure. So I think while a lot of things are coming to mind, but I think everyone will feel कि last year जो है, ChatGPT was something that was truly revolutionary, right?
Correct.
Like a lot of people were trying to figure out कि AI में क्या किया जा सकता है, right? But when the फटने का moment बोलते हैं ना कि AI has truly blown up.
Correct.
I feel that has happened last year.
Correct.
And I was just in the morning, I was just trying to converse with my mom. She was telling me weird things like कि कल कुछ WhatsApp पे forward आया था, साईं बाबा is Muslim or Hindu. मैंने कहा ChatGPT से पूछ लो. ChatGPT started with like there is a big confusion around this. Some people consider him Hindu and some people Muslim. Mm-hmm. So it was truly like she really appreciated it because like ChatGPT didn't come to a conclusion first. While the WhatsApp forward she had received, it directly came to a conclusion कि यार अगर मतलब Hindus डाल रहे हैं तो वो हिंदू होगा और Muslims डाल रहे हैं तो मुस्लिम होगा. But ChatGPT, even though we feel there is a bias in AI, but ChatGPT has a tendency to give neutral responses to most questions unless you train it to be biased.
I agree.
Yeah, so I feel that's truly revolutionary. Like,
of course, and I believe it'll surpass the Google search very soon. People nowadays, I mean, for any query for that matter, people just go on ChatGPT, type left, right, center, and at times, even in my job profile as well, when I search on ChatGPT extensively, often I get that okay, we are loaded with a lot of queries. Take a break, come back after an hour. So that is a testimony to the fact that हम लोग कितना ChatGPT use कर रहे हैं.
True.
On that note, let's dive in. And first things first, I want to understand from you. So I want to understand what's your take on the ongoing debate about whether product managers should be more technical or business oriented, or how do you strike that right balance? Because some argue that PMs are like mini CEOs of their product. So do you think this comparison holds true? And what exactly is a product manager?
I think काफी questions. So I'll try to cover one by one.
Okay.
But I think I would say like maybe people will learn a few nuggets from here, but people should always be curious and learn from as many people as you can. Because specifically this field, which is product management, you will hear varying opinions. कोई कुछ बोल रहा है, कोई कुछ बोल रहा है, और पता नहीं चल रहा कि क्या सही है, क्या गलत है. So I feel a person should make their own opinion, but not before talking to people who are really doing product management jobs. So people, so if let's say I tell you like what my opinion is at least, I feel a product manager's core job is to identify the right problems to solve.
Okay.
That's the first part. उसको पता होना चाहिए कि क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व भी करनी है, राइट? ऐसा नहीं है कि there are thousands of problems and you just approach randomly each one. You have to prioritize the problems first, right? Which are the core problems?
Absolutely.
Second, you need to identify who is the target audience who's facing these problems, right?
Okay.
So a target audience is also really important. And finally, you should be able to solve that problem at scale, right? Because you might be able to do it one by one, कि किसी की एक problem solve कर ली, किसी की दूसरी problem solve कर ली. But a great product manager is only that one person who is able to do that at scale. So
Correct.
three main components: target audience, problem statement identification, and third, solution at scale. So this is what I'll feel are the basic things which a person should understand before even entering the product management field.
Okay.
So this is the first part which I feel.
Okay.
Coming to the mini CEO kind of a question, I would say some people are not.
Okay.
Because a lot of companies, people who are product managers, they don't have profit and loss responsibility. So I feel CEO क्या करता है? CEO धंधा चलाता है, right? तो धंधे का मतलब है कि प्रॉफिट की जिम्मेदारी उसकी, लॉस की जिम्मेदारी उसकी. So a CEO has to be responsible for the profit and loss. And wherever there are product managers who are responsible for the profit and loss responsibility, I would say they are mini CEOs of that product.
Okay.
But more often than not, PMs don't have the responsibility of the P&L. And in those cases, I would say, बोलने के लिए ठीक है mini CEO बोल लो, but they are actually not mini CEOs because they're just taking care of the product, but they don't have P&L responsibility.
Okay.
So that's one of the questions. And finally, technical versus business versus maybe some people also call user experience.
Okay.
I feel product managers are jack of all trades. तो तुम्हारे को सब पता होना चाहिए. User experience पता होना चाहिए. You should know user experience, design, you should know product sense, you should know analytics, you should have a business mindset or acumen. At the same time, you should know how to communicate with technical folks as well. So from that standpoint, you know technical details of the product as well. But when I say you should know at a beginner or an intermediate level, depending on the level of seniority of you. Like maybe if you're an APM, you should know beginner stuff. If you are a senior product manager, people expect you to know decent, intermediate kind of a. Nobody would expect you to be an expert in user experience or design or business, but people want you to be an expert in product management, which is, let's say, product strategy, product analytics. So that is a core skill set that you need to have. But horizontally, you should have a beginner to intermediate level understanding of all of the different things.
Okay. So since you talked about, you touched upon few types of product manager roles. So another question that comes to my mind is, in today's technical landscape, we have roles like growth product managers, technical product managers, and as you rightly mentioned, UX product managers as well. Could you share your insights on the distinction between these roles, how they collaborate within a team? What essentially I want to understand is what are the different kind of product manager roles are out there? And some people say, in fact, you've also said that product managers are often perceived as jack of all trades and master of none. How do you debunk or embrace this stereotype in your particular role?
Sure. I feel it's jack of all trades and master of one, maybe not none.
That's interesting.
So yeah, let me try to delve a little deep into this.
Okay.
So let's say a few things that you mentioned, like growth product manager, or let's say B2C product manager or B2B. Like, so whatever is the core thing that they are responsible for, right? Let's say they are a growth product manager. So they should be a master of growth. There's no two ways about it.
Okay.
But the rest of the things that encompass that, which is, let's say, to drive growth, you should know, let's say, user experience, business understanding, all of those can come from various other stakeholders. But you should know how to grow a product really fast if, let's say, you're a growth product manager. Okay. So maybe largely I'll just try to briefly cover all of the different like types of product managers. While it depends company to company, different companies have different ways to define them, but I'll try to cover a few maybe holistic or generalist profiles that most companies have.
Okay.
So one is the growth product manager, like you mentioned.
Okay.
So they are primary responsibility,
Okay.
right? If they are joining at a 10x company, which is a Series B or a Series C company, they might be told कि अब हमारे 10 million users हैं, you need to grow it to 100 million users, right? So depending on the stage of the company, the primary responsibility is not to improve the product, but their primary responsibility is growth of the product. But
Okay.
if I sort of delve a little more deep into that, so any feature that growth product managers pick up, the primary metric that they should be moving is the user growth or the revenue growth or the profitability growth.
Okay.
Let's say there is a feature which is a really important feature for the product, but they know that this won't move the revenue needle or the profitability needle or the user growth needle. They can't focus on that because their primary objective is growth.
Okay. Interesting.
But doing growth may mean that they move or improve the product also, but that is not their core responsibility.
Okay.
So that is growth product manager.
Okay.
दूसरा आता है internal product manager.
Okay.
So when I say internal product manager, they are responsible for the internal tools of the company. Let's say एक 10,000 लोगों की company है. Amongst these 10,000 people, the company has developed an internal tool to process payroll. कि हर महीने की जो सैलरी जाएगी वो एक इंटरनल सॉफ्टवेयर के थ्रू ही जा रही है, या हर महीने की अटेंडेंस लगेगी वो अटेंडेंस इंटरनल टूल पे ही लग रही है. तो वो आउटसाइड किसी क्लाइंट को और नो यूजर इज एक्चुअली ट्राइंग टू एक्सेस दैट, बट it is important for the company because if attendance doesn't happen, then people can't get paid, right? So that internal product manager internal tools dekhta hai. Okay. And then there are third set of product managers which can be maybe subdivided into B2C or B2B, wherein B2C side mein people look at solving user problems and there is a metric associated with it. Again, depends on the stage of the company and the business goals of the company. It might be कि users बढ़ाने हैं और revenue बढ़ाना है और profitability बढ़ाना है. तो whatever they solve for, like whatever user problems are they solving for, those user problems, if they are solved, should also help achieve the business goals. It shouldn't happen कि user problem solve हो रही है लेकिन business goals कहीं पे दूसरी जगह ही जा रहे हैं, right? तो एक correlation होता है कि वही यूजर प्रॉब्लम्स उठानी है जो एक्चुअली बिजनेस गोल से रिलेटेड है. B2C प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर विल पिक अप द B2C प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. व्हेन आई से B2C, इट्स द नॉर्मल कंज्यूमर, हमारे तुम्हारे जैसे लोग. और B2B प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर कंपनीज की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करेगा कि कंपनी माइट बी थिंकिंग कि मुझे अपना प्रोडक्ट एक CRM टूल है जिससे लोग लीड का स्कोर करेंगे. लीड का स्कोर से क्या फायदा होगा कि अगर हाई स्कोर है लीड का तो इसको सेल कर पाना इजियर है. तो there might be a B2B tool which might say कि मैं लीड स्कोरिंग बहुत बढ़िया देता हूं. So this is that a B2B product manager responsibility is to actually make that lead score as effective as possible.
Okay.
So this is largely what it is. There are a few other roles as well, but generally speaking, these are the most of the roles that are there in the market.
All right. Moving on, let's talk about the age-old debate, which is product versus project management. Now, I want you to share few instances where you've seen that these roles have overlapped or clashed and how it was resolved.
So if I think about like product versus project management, I feel product manager को project management तो आना ही चाहिए.
Okay.
Maybe vice versa is not true. So the main differentiation, I'll try to cover it briefly. The main differentiation is that a project manager's primary responsibility is to get stuff done or complete a project end to end.
Okay.
Right? They might not do it themselves. They might follow up with the team and get it done. But their primary responsibility is कि project जिस डेट पे फाइनलाइज है कि इस डेट पे डिलीवर हो जाना चाहिए, उस डेट पे वो डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए.
Okay.
That is the core responsibility.
Okay.
While a product manager's core responsibility is around a metric. The metric could be number of users on the platform. The metric could be revenue, profitability, right? So if they, let's say, want to move the metric, जैसे revenue मुझे 1000 करोड़ से 1500 करोड़ को पहुंचाना है, right? If I want to go from that 1000 to 1500 crore, I might have to pick up certain features कि ये 4 चीजें करेंगे तो 1000 से 1500 करोड़ पे we will be able to move. Then that feature set will be broken down into user stories, epics and user stories, that this is how we'll get it done. And then finally, to actually get it done, they'll have to do project management, right? Okay. So finally, उनको project management करना है ताकि वो actual में delivery हो. Correct. But responsibility प्रोजेक्ट को डिलीवर करवाने की नहीं है. मान लो उन्होंने 4 प्रोजेक्ट उठाए कि 4 प्रोजेक्ट उठा के हम 1500 करोड़ तक पहुंच जाएंगे. But if they are, after those 4 projects getting delivered, if they are not able to move from 1000 to 1500 crores, the company will tell them that they haven't done their job properly, even though they have delivered 4 projects successfully, because their core responsibility is not delivery of projects. Their core responsibility is moving the metric. Makes sense. That is at a high level. If I tell you that this is the main difference that is there. In terms of personal snippet, I would say, I think मैंने भी किया है project management तो पूरा I have done. Like initially जब मैं join करा था तो in Simply Learn I didn't even have an engineering manager initially to begin with. Okay. तो मैं तो engineering manager का भी काम किया है. तो again depending on the stage of the company, काफी बार product manager वो सब काम कर रहे होते हैं जो actually उनका काम नहीं होता. But as I said, the core responsibility is metric move होना चाहिए. So if you want to move the metric, you will do anything under the sun, be it project management, be it engineering management, be it follow-ups, be it tracking analytics, anything and everything you have to do to get it done. And I have personally also done it at various stages in my career throughout. Okay.
I mean, let me put it in this way. What's the most challenging decision that you've had to make as a product manager, and how did it impact the product and the team as well? Now, I want you to explain me a day in a life of a PM, of course, but I also want to understand, some people view product managers as decision makers without a clear understanding of technical details. Now, how do you maintain that credibility within your technical team while making those high-level decisions?
So basically, I think the most challenging stuff that a product manager goes through is finalizing the problem statements that need to be worked on. Okay. Why I say that is that because business का high level पे एक अलग goal होता है. Maybe ये startups में, which is like very early stage startups, right? जैसे कोई 10 to 20 employees का startup है, उसमें you might not face this problem because the founders know कि the specific problem that they're trying to solve, right? Whether it's the right problem or not, but at least they have a sense of what is it that we are trying to solve. But as the company size sort of increases, right, it goes into hundreds and then thousands and then sometimes lakhs as well. Everyone in the company has some kind of a priority, and many a times those priorities don't align. I'll give you few examples. Marketing team की responsibility है कि user क्यों नहीं बढ़ रहे, revenue क्यों नहीं बढ़ रहा, ठीक है? Technical team को कोई बोल रहा है that your AWS bill has increased like drastically, कि आपके cloud cost double हो गए हैं, ठीक है? And then third side पे maybe analytics team आ रही है कि यार हम कुछ track ही नहीं कर पा रहे, तुम हमारे को time नहीं दे रहे हो ये analytics लगाने का, right? On the fourth side, there might be the CEO who has just gotten out of an event and कुछ नया idea है, right? That why are we not doing this, right? The CEO. So all these maybe 10 to 20 stakeholders will come to you because finally to move the metric at a platform level, you are the person who is responsible. Okay. So when they come to you, you have to prioritize the amongst all these 20 problems that are there. Marketing का कुछ अलग, analytics का अलग, CEO का कुछ अलग problem statement. What should I solve? And it's not only dependent on what is the most important thing from a user standpoint, right? Because that should ideally be the case. But then the CEO is telling कि ये idea पे क्यों नहीं काम हो रहा? So there is a lot of nuance to things wherein then maybe you have to explain to the CEO that we are not working on this because these 5 things are also important. And then within those 5 things, you just have to go to marketing that if we don't cut down on an AWS bills, then the CEO will come on us because profitability is the core focus. And not even CEO. In general, we know that if we do these 5 things, we will be able to cut down on AWS costs. But your problem statement is a still slightly vague problem statement, right? कि मुझे revenue growth चाहिए. So I might be doing 5 things to improve that, but maybe nothing is successful. So I have high confidence on cutting down on AWS bills, but I don't have a high confidence on increasing the revenue by 30%, right? So maybe you take a decision that let's इस महीने AWS पे फोकस करते हैं क्योंकि इसमें short 1.5 crore रुपए बचेगा, right? So this is what I feel is the most challenging aspect of product management. And if I try to cover the day to day,
when you reach in the office, what is the first thing that you do?
सबसे पहले देखते हैं कि कल कुछ फटा कि नहीं. So that is the most important thing. That पहले you have to establish baseline whether everything is working as expected or not.
Okay.
Because there might be 10 things going on in the world, right? Let's say Meta has a server down issue.
Okay.
And because Meta has a server down issue, as a growth PM, you are responsible for growth. And because of that, Meta's ad account is not working as expected. And because of that, your revenue is falling, right? It might have nothing to do with what is happening in the company, but एक Instagram blackout हो गया और आपका revenue 100% गिर गया पिछले दिन, right? आपकी गलती भी नहीं है. But क्या उस समय आप बोलते हैं कि मेटा के डिक्रीज हो रहे हैं या ब्लैकआउट ही है तो चलो अब गूगल एड्स पे डबल खर्चा करते हैं. तो a marketing person might be thinking about this, but as I said that depending on if you're a growth PM or not, you might also be directly responsible for the revenue, right? And one day's revenue, just because you couldn't spend on ads, is lost and that can't come back right now.
Correct.
So you have to be on your toes every day कि कुछ फटा है कि नहीं. Is everything working as expected or not? Okay. That's the first thing you have to do.
Okay.
Once you established कि सब सही चल रहा है भाई, now then your day starts. So then your day starts with first looking at the key metrics that you are tracking, which is dependent, right? Number of users, revenue, वगैरह जो भी है. And then you see the time over a specific time frame, how is it performing? Like, is it growing? Is it declining? And then you try to get into why is it declining? Why is it growing? If it is growing, can it grow more? If it is declining, can we stop that decline? And then you try to identify what are the problems that either the users are facing or as a business we are facing to solve those issues. So you look at the metrics, you identified कि क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है और उसका एक लिस्ट बना दिया.
Okay.
अब एज अ प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर तुम खुद सब कुछ सॉल्व नहीं कर सकते, राइट? कि मैंने सोच लिया ये प्रॉब्लम है मैं सॉल्व कर दूंगा. नहीं, वैसा नहीं होगा. सो नाउ योर डे गोज थ्रू एज पर द लिस्ट दैट यू हैव डिफाइंड, राइट? व्हिच इज ये 5 प्रॉब्लम है. ये प्रॉब्लम मार्केटिंग से बात करके सॉल्व होगा. The other problem has to be solved by talking to analytics, by talking to sales or something, right? So their entire day is structured like that.
Okay. So
this is the basic day to day. But at a strategic level also what happens is that you have defined usually people define a quarterly roadmap. Okay. Over this entire quarter, we will do these 5 things, right? So what will happen is that when you define those things during the start of the quarter, you have to keep a track on it. So for that, you'll have to define कि इस हफ्ते में ये हो जाना चाहिए, for the next week, this has to be done. And those meetings are well defined much in advance, right? So there is a strategic aspect of product management, which is at a quarterly roadmap level. But then there is a day-to-day aspect of product management, which is every day you have to see whether things are working as expected or not. And if they are not, what can be done to improve that? Apart from that, there are some minor things like you have to, maybe not minor, maybe I use the wrong word, but you have to keep abreast of the industry news, right? And then there might be stakeholder alignment. that is there, right? There is a business decision that you want to take, but you have to meet the entire team.